There is no doubt that the mechanism of this disease is baffling, and in all chronic illnesses there may be psychological factors. The trouble is that it's so much easier and cheaper to go on treating the disease as psychiatric rather than funding complicated research into a precise cause. I think some psychiatric labels are just a grand way of saying, I don't know.
I don't know what ME is, but what I'm absolutely certain is that it is not an organic illness. I don't want to make too much of the sexist issue, but something like 4/5, if not more, of the people I deal with are women in early middle age who have unsatisfactory marriages, who have children who are making life difficult for them, and all those of us who have raised families will know exactly what I mean, because they do take up an awful lot of your time, not to mention your money. And they are prohibited from going ahead with what they wanted to do in terms of personal achievement professionally, most particularly. I'm not denying for a moment that these people are well. They're not. They are sick, and they need help. It's a question of why they're sick, and the best way to go about helping them and understanding the illness, whatever it is all about.
I think the government ought to take a lead in this matter, but the Department of Health claim it is not their responsibility. I wanted to talk to the Secretary of State for Health, Virginia Bottomley, about this, but all they could give me was a statement. Well, among other things, the Department of Health does recognise ME as being a serious and debilitating condition. I'm very pleased about that, but a lot of doctors still don't recognise ME as serious and debilitating, and they only will when they're given some information from the Department of Health. But they say it's not their practice to circulate to the medical profession information which could be interpreted as clinical guidance. All I can say is that it's about time somebody did. Even doctors who sincerely believe it's mainly a personality problem in middle-aged women admit that it's puzzling when youngsters get it. The problem with some current beliefs is they mean that treatment can be wildly inappropriate. Look what happened to Ian Proctor. I find a problem with walking like this is my balance. It's a balance problem is very common in ME. Did you have this trouble when you were ill?
Yeah, I had a balance problem when I was ill, and when I was getting better. When I was on my crutches, I used to wobble around all the time, couldn't balance properly.
How about going up and down stairs?
Stairs used to be a real problem. When I was ill, my parents or my brother used to have to carry me up the stairs.
At 12, Ian got ME and became paralysed and mute. But because no abnormality showed on his tests, his doctors dismissed him as school-phobic. His parents vehemently contested the psychiatric diagnosis and paid a terrible price. Ian was taken from them and kept in a hospital ward for 5 months.
Well, first of all, there was a knock at the door, and my mum went to the door to see who it was, and it was my GP come to. He thought this for a normal visit to see how I was, and he told my mum that he had 2 social workers with him, and that they were going to take me away to a place of safety. And I couldn't believe it when they told me. I was so scared, and I started to cry.
Did they tell you why they were doing this?
In the ambulance, the female social worker told me that they would take me away because my parents would let me die.
Your parents were letting you die?
Yeah, which I didn't believe at all, and it didn't really comfort me at the time. I was still crying.
How were you treated when you got into hospital?
First of all, I was stuck in a ward, like a single ward on my own, with no way of calling any nurses or anything. I wasn't allowed to see my parents for the first week. Then after that, I was only allowed to see them for half an hour every day, and my brother and sister half an hour every day. They used to put me in a standing frame to get me to stand up. They used to race down the corridor with me in the wheelchair and suddenly stopped to see if I'd react or anything. They even took me swimming and let me go under the water one time.
The theory was that he was faking his paralysis and would surely swim.
They let me go in the deep end. I was paralysed. I couldn't speak, and I was scared. I didn't know what was going to happen to me. I didn't know if they were going to bring me back up or not. They thought I was just mentally ill or pretending I was school phobic. They thought I would just swim and save my life. They also put me on a ghost train. I think the idea of that was to scare me into moving. I was totally distraught. I was just crying all the time. I am very bitter about the way I was treated. Most of the doctors didn't really want to understand what the illness was about. Didn't really care how I was treated. They just want me to get, they want me better instantly.
We were treated like dirt a lot of the time, as though we weren't Ian's parents. It's a horrible feeling. I mean, we never thought in our wildest dreams that they could just walk in your door and just take your child like that, when all we'd done was try to find out what was wrong with him, not deny him anything. And we were being accused of love and trying to get our son well. They don't want to listen to you. You're just being an overprotective, fussy parent if you try to say anything. I can remember in the, I think it was the Butler Sloss report, wasn't it? One of the most important things she said was, after Cleveland, listen to the children. They don't. Nobody wanted to listen to Ian at all.
When psychiatrists diagnosed the 1955 hospital outbreak as hysteria, they made a fundamental mistake. The scandal, for me, is not that flawed diagnosis, but the inability of some of the medical profession to admit they could be wrong, despite evidence to the contrary. And the problem goes deeper than the prejudice and social stigma of ME sufferers. It goes to the very heart of how illness is defined. We are all victims of a medical approach that believes an illness exists only if it can be physically tested. Modern scientific techniques are all very well, but they shouldn't be at the expense of listening and learning from the patient.
She has gone through absolute hell. If there was any way she could have got out of it, she would. Recently, she turned around to me and she said to me, "Daddy," she said, "I'm sorry for ruining your life and Mummy's life." She's been lying there and whispering in a before she lost her voice, "Help me, help me."
I've really got to the end of my tether now, because I just don't know where to go or how to proceed with so much stacked against me. When I'm not sure how to carry on with things. I know that I'm not very well, and I can't carry on if I'm going to be criticised for the way I'm managing my life.
That moment will live with us for the rest of our life, the day they walked in. We will never, never, ever forget it. I don't think we'll ever get over it. Our child said at one time in a hospital when nobody believed him but us, he turned to us and he said, "Do I have to die to prove how ill I feel?"